You know, for most of human history, we've looked up at space and thought of it as this distant, untouchable place, something for superheroes and superpowers, right? Well, that story, it's over. Today, we're going to talk about why the next great industrial revolution isn't happening down here on Earth at all. It's happening in the vacuum just above our heads. And let's just start with that because it's a huge deal. This isn't science fiction anymore. We're talking about a brand new economic reality that's going to change everything: how we heal our bodies, how we power our planet, how we talk to each other. For you personally, this is about to get very real, very fast. Okay, so first things first, we have to get our heads around the fact that the old story of space, that 60-year-old myth of it being some separate thing out there, yeah, that's officially done. The truth is, space is already completely woven into your daily life. That phone in your pocket, it's not just talking to a cell tower down the street, it's tethered to the stars. The GPS that gets you home, the app that tells you if you need an umbrella, it's all part of this incredible, invisible infrastructure orbiting our planet. Space isn't some far-off concept, it's already here. So, what changed? What happened? Well, this is what we're calling the Great Unlocking. The exact moment the ridiculously expensive toll booth to the stars got completely smashed open. And this slide just perfectly explains the absolute insanity of how we used to do things. For 6 decades, we'd build these magnificent, unbelievably expensive rockets, fly them one time, and then just let them burn up in the atmosphere. Seriously, it was like buying a brand new car for every single trip to the grocery store. The move to reusable rockets, pioneered by companies like SpaceX, is the single biggest reason this whole revolution is happening. It's not just a small improvement, it's a total reinvention of the economics. And would you look at the result of that shift? These numbers are just staggering. The cost to launch 1 kilogram, just one, dropped from over $54,000 with the space shuttle to under $3,000 with the Falcon 9. But look, the real game changer is coming. With Starship, that cost could drop to just $10. 10. I mean, at that price, you're not just launching satellites anymore. You're launching factories, you're launching hotels, you're launching entire power plants into orbit. The front door to the solar system has just been kicked wide open. And what happens when you kick that door open? Well, you get a massive wave of growth. By 2035, the space economy is projected to be worth a mind-boggling $1.8 trillion. This isn't some niche little market anymore. It's about to become a major global economic force. Okay, so now that it's actually cheap to get to space, what are we going to do up there? This is where we go from pure economics to, well, genuine breakthroughs. We're not just visiting anymore. We're building a factory where gravity doesn't exist. The secret ingredient, the absolute superpower of space, is microgravity. See, down here on Earth, gravity's kind of a bully. It's always pulling on things, separating mixtures, causing tiny little flaws in everything we try to make. But in orbit, poof, that bully just disappears. And that lets us manufacture things with a level of perfection that is physically impossible to get on the surface of our planet. Let's look at our real-world example. On Earth, when we make the glass for fiber optic cables, gravity creates these teeny tiny imperfections that mess with the signal. But in space, you can make a special type of glass called ZBLAN that is almost perfectly pure. A single strand of this space-made fiber could transmit data up to 100 times better than the cables we're using right now. But it's not just about faster internet, it's about our health. The big pharmaceutical company Merck has actually been experimenting with the cancer drug Keytruda up on the International Space Station. In microgravity, the drug's crystals grow bigger and way more uniform. So why does that matter? Because pure crystals could mean that instead of a long, exhausting IV drip, a patient could get the same treatment with a simple, quick shot. And the medical stuff just keeps getting more and more incredible. There's a company called Lambda Vision that's using microgravity to 3D print artificial retinas. See, on Earth, those super delicate protein layers would just collapse under their own weight. But in space, they settle perfectly, creating a potential cure for some forms of blindness. Yeah, curing blindness from orbit. And that brings us to the holy grail of this whole thing, bioprinting. Trying to print a complex organ, like a heart, here on Earth is like trying to build a sandcastle in a hurricane. Gravity just makes it all collapse. But in orbit, you could use a patient's own cells to print these incredibly complex tissues, one perfect layer at a time. We are talking about a future that could completely eliminate the organ donor waiting list. This isn't science fiction. It's science fact that's being developed right now. So we've seen what we can make in space, But what about solving problems right here on Earth? Well, it turns out that space gives us the ultimate bird's eye view, a platform where we can monitor and protect our home planet. You know the saying, you can't fix what you can't measure. From orbit, advanced satellites are becoming the world's most sophisticated checkup tools. They can pinpoint a single methane leak from a factory to help fight climate change. They can measure the exact moisture in a farmer's field to prevent a famine. And they can spot illegal logging in the Amazon the moment it starts. And look, this tool is already saving lives. This is happening now. When the volcano erupted in Tonga and cut the nation's undersea cable, it was satellite internet that reconnected them to the world. When the wildfires in Maui took out all the cell towers, satellites became the critical lifeline for first responders. We are building a world where, in a crisis, no one has to be truly alone. Now, what about our biggest problem of all? Energy. This idea, space-based solar power, is a potential game changer. Think about it. In space, there are no clouds. There's no night. Solar panels can just soak up the sun's energy 24/7 at full blast. Then that energy is converted and beamed wirelessly and safely down to a receiver on Earth. Scientists at Caltech have already proved this works. Imagine clean, limitless power for our entire planet just beamed down from the sky. So what does this all mean for you? It means the whole idea of a separate space sector is disappearing. It's just becoming the economy. The old walls are gone, and it's creating opportunities for everyone. For decades, the only way you could work in space was if you were like a fighter pilot with a PhD in astrophysics. Well, that time is over. The new space economy is desperate for architects to design habitats, lawyers to figure out who owns what on the moon, farmers to learn how to grow food in lunar soil, and artists to help the rest of us even comprehend this incredible new frontier. And here's a cool little detail that just makes this all feel so much more real. As more and more people go to space, we're learning these strange human things about it. For example, did you know that space actually has a smell? Yeah. Astronauts say when they come back inside from a spacewalk, their suits smell like seared steak and hot metal. That's the smell of atomic oxygen. It's a reminder that this is a real, physical place we're finally starting to move into. Now, we have to tackle the biggest question, the one you hear all the time. It's that cynical take, right? Why are we wasting all this money in space when we have so many problems right here on Earth? And you know what? It's a fair question, but it's based on a completely false idea. And this is the answer. This whole idea that space is some luxury is just wrong. I mean, is the GPS that guides an ambulance to an emergency a luxury? Is the satellite data that predicts a hurricane a luxury? Is a cure for cancer that's made in orbit a luxury? Of course not. Space isn't an escape from Earth's problems. It is one of the most powerful tools we have to finally solve them. So the next time you look up and see a satellite streaking across the night sky, don't think of it as something distant and separate from you. Think of it as a factory, a hospital, a lifeline. Think of it as a bridge that's being built right now to a healthier population, a cleaner planet, and a future where we're not fighting over scarce resources. The great expansion is here. The stars aren't just for looking at anymore. They're open for business.